Now, before you go ahead and dislike this video and leave like a nasty comment for me, there's one thing I want you to do for me. Just one thing. I want you to hear me out. I want you to hear me out like you guys asked me to hear Elena out, okay? That's the only thing I'm going to ask is for common courtesy. That's it. That's all I'm asking for. And if you still disagree with me by the end of this video or towards a little bit and towards the end of the video, I will understand. It is completely understandable that you have a different view on how she handled things or how she perceives things. That's perfectly fine. And since all that mumbo jumbo's out of the way, so there's a little saying, if you're new to this channel, a nice little saying that I usually like to say, please make sure to go grab yourself a nice little drink and a nice little snack, and we're just going to go ahead and dive right into the content.
But earlier in the week, I made a video that I called Elden Ring is Too Hard, in quotations. And majority of that video, I think it's like the first 8 minutes, I'm just basically talking about the negative reviews that Elden Ring has gotten for being too hard and saying that I disagree with them. Majority of that video is me saying, no, I think that you should get good. Like, I did literally say get good.
No one is saying that part is bad at all. Maybe a couple people had problems with certain spots in that 8-minute part of the video, like I do, like where you talk about the patch.
Patch dropped for the DLC, meaning that this to me would indicate that FromSoft, gonna lean over a little, kind of agrees with the criticisms.
That part right there, I could understand from multiple people's angles. Like, yeah, that seems a little tone deaf right there because, let's be honest here, From Software doesn't care how soft you get in this situation. If you can't handle what's being cooked in the kitchen, you might as well get out. And let's be frankly honest for a second. I kind of agree with the others on that because let's be honest. From Software doesn't care. They're going to balance it the way that they like it. That's the only part I would have problems within that 8-segment video of your video right there that I have a problem with. Now, your other half of your video, that's where a lot of people are having a lot of problems with.
About accessibility design and why when people talk about being against a game being accessible, I think it's really silly because accessibility is so much broader than just a guy in a wheelchair, which is what most people seem to think of when they think about accessible design.
No, there's nothing wrong with disabled people wanting to play a Souls game. Absolutely no reason. Those people are more than welcome to come play a Souls game and actually beat it and join in our ranks to come chill out with us and, you know, shit talk. And, you know, it's just that type of thing. But the type of thing is not the fact of disabled people. It's what you classified disabled as is what causing this problem in the first place. And pretty much the reason why I'm making this video in the first place.
So in this video, I was talking about that. I was saying when people ask for accessibility in games, they aren't asking for an easy mode because they also just want to experience the hard game. They're not trying to get it to just be easier. And I was saying, you know, accessibility design is so much bigger than people think it is. An example I used, and to be clear, I wasn't even advocating for this. I didn't say that I think it should be there. It was just an example.
Elena, we know. We know you weren't asking for an easy mode. For the love of God, we know. Just fucking get on with it. You've probably repeated this same sentence about 2 to 3 times in this video. Please, for the love of God, get to the point.
Just let me show you the full clip. When people are asking for accessibility, I'm not actually asking for an easy mode. That isn't the intent. There are also multiple kinds of disabilities, especially where gaming is concerned. There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. That is a situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability, a situational disability. You may need to pause to stop your kid from putting a fork into a socket.
And here we go.
I don't know what corpo thought this was a really good idea to label this under a disability, but it must be a very, very delusional one if you think this was even a remotely good idea. Like, I'm sorry if this seems like foreign to everybody, but I don't remember classifying responsibilities as disabilities. You are a full-grown adult. You know what your responsibilities are. You're not there to play video games over watching your own kids. Like, are you kidding me that you can't spend I don't know, maybe a good hour or two of spending time with your children, making sure that, you know, their energy is out and they're gone down for a good nap, and then you go play your video games? Do you understand what the word responsibility and disability means? If you're having a hard time telling the difference between a responsibility and a disability, then I'm not the one who has a problem here. You do. You need to go grab a book, okay? Specifically a dictionary one. Look up both of the definitions of what they both mean and figure out the difference between what is between a disability and a responsibility. And what kind of gets under my skin is that some of the content creators that I do follow and they do speak on certain matters like these are the same people that would crucify other people for watering down terms to fit their narratives in this situation.
So this is why people were so mad? They're mad about this? Why would they be mad about this? She's completely right. I think the reason why people are mad about this is because she used the word disability. And people are thinking one-dimensionally about the word disability like being in a wheelchair. But if you think about disability as something that interferes with your ability to play the game, then it makes sense. What she's saying is completely logically true. And just as I suspected, the Twitter clip is completely misinterpreting this.
And if this was anybody else on the internet making these same comments, these guys would not be defending them at all. They would be going on a fucking full frontal fucking roasting session in this situation. I don't understand what the switch up is. I'm not going to make the claim it's because Elena's a beautiful, hot fucking person and they're just simping for her. I'm not going to make that claim. But anyway, back onto the main topic.
Then there are situational disabilities. This is an example that's used here as new parent, a driver who is distracted, a bartender. I can explain the bartender one because people are confused about that as well, and a heavy accent. People are also reacting to the heavy accent one. So let me explain what the situational disabilities mean here. Maybe an app can't understand your voice because you have a heavy accent. That is considered a situational disability.
That is called an impairment, not a disability. And that can be easily fixed by just turning off the voice commands and typing into Google what you're trying to, get the information on. Easily could be taken care of.
That's the term. The bartender example here is referring to a really loud environment. So if you are somewhere loud, they could also use music festival, but they're just using someone who functionally regularly works in a certain environment. So if they're in a loud environment and they can't hear a particular thing on whatever app, whatever interface that they are trying to use, the accessible design would aim to alleviate that situational disability. It's not saying bartenders are disabled in the way that the public associates the term disabled.
That bartender comment right there has me worried right there for a second. Why would a bartender be more worried about an app on a phone versus making sure that his customers are satisfied with their drinks, their food, the type of thing that a bartender should be more worried about? The things that they should do in order to keep their business going instead of worrying about an app that's on their phone? Who taught this stuff to Elena? Is this term situation disability just allowed to be used in any situation?
I feel like distracted driver is pretty obvious. The new...
Hell no.
Did anybody in their right mind and sit down and look at this list and thought to themselves, this list right here does not make any sense, and this distracted driver, this what you're trying to classify as a disability in this situation, does not make sense, and it's in a danger zone to a place that you do not want to go. Let me just get one thing out there and just put it inside your minds how exploitable this could be. For example, DUIs would be considered a disability now. You don't believe me? Go look at what's considered a disability on that chart right now. Because if we're following what that chart says in this situation, they could technically slide it right under. Well, he was a distracted driver. He was under the influence. For the love of God, no, whoever came up with this chart, you need to be fired. You did not think this through at all. I do not understand why this even got past HR or PR, whatever you want to call it in this situation. I do not understand how this even got past the even drafting phase at all.
Trying to play a game like Elden Ring and you are halfway through your boss fight and your kid runs across the floor and does something dangerous, you have to drop the controller and go and get them. That would be considered a situational disability in that situation you are unable to complete the task that you are trying to complete because of something that happened to you situationally. You have been disabled from completing the task.
That is called being a responsible adult. So instead of playing fucking video games, get off your sorry ass, get a hold of your toddler, and give it the attention it deserves until it goes night-night. Once it goes night-night and you're sure it's nice and safe in there, go ahead and continue playing your video games. The toddler is more of a fucking priority than fucking video games. I don't understand why you're even classifying this as a disability. I do not understand that. Why you even not even saying it's a responsibility versus a disability is absolutely mind-boggling.
The way this pertains to accessibility isn't to say that all games, all apps, all processes need to alleviate all of these things. That's not the intent either. Like, it's just a way in which accessible design is much broader than people think it is, in the ways that it can help a lot more people than people think it can. And it's also definitely a reality in accessibility where it is basically impossible, I would argue, to fulfill every accessibility need on the planet.
This whole video that she's made about making the case to have a pause function in the Souls game, why did you go to great lengths to even like bring out a chart about the disabilities and stuff? Like you could have made a video of explaining to us why having a pause function in Souls games would be beneficial for the player. Why do we have to go to great lengths to bring disabilities and pretend disabilities into the situation? I don't understand. I really don't. And what I don't understand is why you guys feel comfortable enough to use disabilities in this situation in order to get what you want. It just horrifies me that people cannot make good arguments anymore, but they have to use other people's disabilities in order to get what they want in this situation. It puzzles me.
And there are also, I've definitely seen people say having kids isn't a disability, it's just a responsibility, go do something else. And that's totally valid. Yes, that can make you a shitty parent. The intention is not to allow parents to be shitty parents. The intention is to allow them to not be punished or have a negative consequence in your product because of something like that.
My responsibilities are not the responsibilities of the video game, the corporation, the publishers, and the developers. Do you understand that? These people are not responsible for the decisions that I make in my life. My life, to avoid taking care of my child, is my problem, okay? It's me and my significant other's problem of taking care of that child. It's not your guys' problem, it's my problem. I know what happens when I boot up a Souls game, okay? I am fully aware that there is no pause menu, and if I'm in the middle of a boss fight and something IRL happens that requires my attention, I'm going to prioritize that situation over the Souls boss, okay? That situation has more priority than the boss fight. Why you guys are trying to take all the responsibility, which is none of your guys' fucking business in the first place, is absolutely baffling.
And like a very good example of, I think, people misunderstanding it as a design ethos and not a thing you have to do is I've seen people say, oh, what, so I'm disabled if I can't pause in a multiplayer game when I need to?
Then what was the purpose of this whole video again? Like, honestly, it's like, just leave video games alone. Okay, like I said previously in the previous clip I had covered, my responsibilities are not your responsibilities. Your responsibility, what you're supposed to be doing, is making a fun game that I can enjoy with the limited time amount that I do have to play video games, okay? That's the only job that you guys should be worried about. That's it. Not worrying about, oh God, is this poor person disabled because they're trying to take care of their child and play video games at the same time? Oh no, we need to figure out a way. Oh no. My responsibilities are my responsibilities.
But I'm also sure that a lot of this comes from the app development and the web development, where they just want to make sure that you will never turn off the thing. Part of it is surely corporations being very time hungry.
Oh no, it's not them being time hungry, okay? What they want is that they want as much money out of you as possible. That's what they want. That is the end game of these corporations. Your time is second to them on the list. First on the list is the money. If they could charge us $500 for a God of War game, they will. And they will do it without even like a without even like taking a second thought at it, okay? If they could get away with it, they will.
And are really offended by the use of disabled or disability in this context, I'm not against changing it. I'm an accessibility consultant, but I'm not on the kind of boards where they make these terms or make these docs.
Yeah, I really doubt those terms that need to be corrected in this situation are going to get corrected. And I'm just going to be completely honest. It's because of the CEOs that are going to be at the top right now and how disconnected they are from the world. They're so disconnected. They probably just don't care. They just probably slopped some words together and said, perfect. You know what? Ship it. It's perfectly fine. And you know what? I don't even blame Elena in this part, but I kind of blame the big corporate wigs that kind of like dug their fangs into her and kind of put their own terms into her head. But anyway, thankfully, that's the end of the content right there. And if you managed to make it to the end of this video without hitting the dislike button or just leaving me a nasty comment and leaving the video, let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comment section. I'm very curious. And you know what? If you enjoyed this type of content, please leave a like and comment in the comment section. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys. And hey, if you enjoy these type of contents, my rants, my salt videos, my reviews, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'll definitely have more content coming for you guys. But anyway, fam, thank you very much for watching. I always appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later, fam.